Welcome back to the Livecode jam session in Flock, hosted by Cleary and Savamala. Savamala? Savamala. There is another A there that I should articulate more explicitly. We are still getting ready. Crow means go. That's right. Crow means go. We are streaming. I am talking. Where is the music? This crow is hiding in a comment. Janeishly appears in the bottom right cell using Strudel, some JavaScript music. We have unknown deleter in the bottom left cell on Hydra. Visuals. Setting up a Tresillo rhythm, the Euclidean pattern 3,8 on bass drum. This exact line is how I start so many sets. Sometimes with a hat instead of a bass drum. Great. Cross collaboration immediately. Janeishly and Cleary now both working on this bass drum sample. The sample source is the default kit. We're using the word BD to select a bass drum from the default sound. I'm very excited for the jam later. I took a peek ahead and it is very synth poppy today. Very upbeat, bright, very clear, and very Terraria. The music reminds me a bit of the video game Terraria. So that's what you can look forward to in this session. And what will it be next week? Who knows? Maybe you will help us find out. In the top right, we have Janeishly now moving into a new Strudel cell. Another Euclidean rhythm. This one is a hi-hat group. We're selecting the Sound Bank TR909, which is a classic Roland system. Classic Roland drum machine. So Janeishly is indeed using the TR909 bank. So in Strudel, that means this is a different sample set. In the bottom right cell, we have the bass drum coming from the default sample set. This is because there's no specific call to bank to select a sound bank. But in the upper cell, we see that bank invocation, which selects the TR909 bank. There are many more banks that you could find. It's true. In fact, we can take a peek while they're still chatting away. I have dropped in here my latest instance of the Strudel, and you see I was even using the same sound bank on a hi-hat, exactly what Janeishly was just doing. I was also exploring the struct usage, the struct function. But let's look at the sound bank for drum machines, and if I type in TR909, we see there are some individual samples. I can click on them to preview what they'll be like. And you notice that they all have this prefix. Oh, we'll get back to there. I just heard a kick, so we'll just finish this up. The prefix, whenever there's a common prefix like this, whatever comes before the underscore, that's the name that you put into the bank function. So if we delete this filter, we see that there's actually quite a lot of banks that come with Strudel, like Akai, Boss, Casio, Compure Rhythm, and so many more. I think you will have a blast exploring them. And remember that a bank is a collection of samples. So here, this bank has a snare drum sample, it has an SH sample, it has a TD sample, and those might be local to the bank. The normal and default Strudel labels I'm familiar with are ED, OH for open hat, SD for snare drum, CP for clap, HH for hi-hat. HT is probably another kind of hat. Oh, high tom. Ah, right. HT is high tom. LT is low tom. MT is bass tom. A tom is like a bass drum, but up an octave. That's a good way to think of it. And so this is 3 more octaves of kick drum. Open hat is OH. Perk is going to be the rest of the percussion, and rim is a rim shot of a snare drum. That actually sounds like a clave. Okay. Finally, let's look at the reference for bank functions so we can see what that is. Select the sound bank to use. Be used together with S. The bank name and underscore will be pre-committed to the individual value of S. S is another function here. Alias for sound. So ultimately, bank is going to help you save space in this function call, because otherwise we would have to put Roland 909 underscore BB and Roland 909 underscore HH. But using the bank function, you can skip that and keep your code generic, which is also good for changing out the bank easily. Okay, back to the jam. Oh, hello, we have bornach. Welcome, bornach, to the Weekend's Jam. Good to see you again. Can't wait to hear your music. Okay, let's look at the samples that are being used. We still have this hi-hat. This is a pattern very clever, where we're going to do 7 hi-hats, and then the 8th one, the 8th event in this pattern, is going to alternate between another hi-hat. So then that would just be a string of 8 hi-hats. But every other time, because the angle brackets are going to alternate selection between HH and OH, every other time we'll get this open hat sound, creating a binary system with just a small amount of variation. Below it we see this rimshot sample. This is closer to a rimshot sound. This is not using the bank TR909, this is using the default bank. And below we have a saw sound, which janeishly has just applied a low-pass filter of 600 ohm. Opening an angle bracket indicates that we're about to create a pattern, which is going to alternate between these values. This larger value, 1200, represents a cutoff of 1200 Hertz. This next one, 2400, is another octave. I can see that in each of these scenarios we're using octave doublings of the filter frequency. That means each of these reveals another octave of information before filtering it back down. The sort order that janeishly chose is also very nice because it rises and falls in a triangular fashion. The lowest point being 600, the midpoint being 1200, and the peak being 2400. Another way of describing this is setting a filter with a cutoff value at the midpoint 1200, going up an octave to 2400 for the most information passed through our low pass filter, and going down an octave to 600 for the lowest information passed. because the information is in the low register as opposed to a high register, we perceive the sound as muted or murky or underwater. And removing this filter would reveal the rest of the high information, the high frequencies, that give more clarity to the sound. Okay, that's enough in the top right cell. Let's go down here. We have, well, let's touch on bornach for a bit because bornach just added a nice contribution. It looks like we are spelling out a D major chord. D3 selects the note D in the third octave. F sharp 3 selects the note F sharp in the third octave. And A4 selects the note A in the fourth octave. This is the most explicit way you could possibly spell out a D major chord in Strudel, in my opinion. Note that this uses commas to join the note names. That means we're going to stack all of these into one event. Talking about pattern syntax just a little bit, let's look at patterns like this D major chord pattern and this hi-hat 7 pattern. I'm gesturing using my cursor on the cell on the top right to this pattern, which we'll call the hat pattern, and this pattern, which we'll call the chords pattern. Someone change the font size. Okay, so this chords pattern uses commas, but the hats pattern does not use commas. Instead, it has some angle brackets in part of it. Let's talk about the difference between those two choices. Earlier, I mentioned that the angle brackets in the hats pattern is applying an alternating selection. We can visually see that in the way that the box highlights HH and the OH alternate, evenly and alternately. If we look below onto the chords pattern, we see there's actually a lot of highlighting happening at the same time. Instead of patterning them, they all happen at exactly the same time because they are stacked together inside of a single event. The rhythm for the events is assigned by this struct call. Struct is a way of embedding a rhythm onto a pattern. So we get the rhythm from this other pattern. This pattern starts with a rest, a minus sign. And then it gets the 3/8 Tresillo rhythm that we saw janeishly over. It is great to use the same rhythms across different sounds. It adds a lot of continuity to your compositions. This one's not exactly the same because this is an event, a pattern with two events. The first event is a rest, and the second event is the Tresillo rhythm. Comparing that to the opening bass drum Tresillo, which was only one event, in comparison to this struct, which is two events, overall, the struct is going to compress all of the intercontics so that they fit in the same amount of space as one event. So at the end of the day, for every pattern, the default nature is to make all patterns fit into the same amount of time. Space is what I just said a moment ago, but time would be a better mental model. If you can imagine a timeline that starts at 0 and ends at 1, you can now imagine that everything that is in double brackets gets its own timeline, and every time you use a space instead of a comma, you're putting another split into that timeline. So in this case, for this struct call, where we have a minus sign and then the Tresillo rhythm over here, for this case, that timeline is being split into two. Up here, it's a bit deceptive, because it looks like in the hats pattern, it's a bit deceptive because it looks like it should be two events. However, the exclamation mark here is doing a lot of work for us. The exclamation mark is another piece of Strudel shorthand that will unfold or expand its element, in this case HH, into 7 copies of it. So this is the same as writing HH space HH space HH space and so forth until we have 7 of them, and then this becomes the 8th event. So that means this pattern fits 8 events into the space of 1. One could dig in further and describe nested patterns and nested rhythms. For example, all Euclidean rhythms, like this 3,8, is actually a shorthand, much like the exclamation that embeds another nested pattern into its current position. We can save that for later. Soundscape. Oh! Aha! I thought that was my mouse, but it's the biz in the background going all zany. It's so cute. Wow, that's so nice. It looks like an electron orbiting something. Let's see who's on biz right now. So, there is a punctual code here, which is basically cryptic wizardry to me. And there's some Hydra code up here, which is in JavaScript. Savamala is the resident punctual wizard. Today we have a new live coder on Hydra. Welcome to Tidy _ Savamala remarks that they cannot see any Hydra. Let's see. So shape 45 would create a 45-sided shape, which is pretty much a circle in Hydra speak. Then we'll color it using a function to set the red channel, a function to set the green channel, and a function to set the blue channel. I don't see a closing parentheses here though, and that's probably why the Hydra is not rendering. Tidy says they have no problem seeing Hydra, but I think that they're seeing a stale copy of it. Because right now this dot modulate scale call is being applied to the number 5. 5 does not have the function modulate scale. I hope that helps. Okay, let's get back to the music in the top center. We are observing cleary. Put a mask over the video. I'll open the docs for mask in a bit. Let's just observe what cleary's doing and see if you can predict it. The target here is that chord pattern that we listened to earlier. Looks like Tidy's cleaning up some Hydra code over here. Yes, commenting out lines is always a clever thing to do, so you can preserve your work without letting it interrupt the evaluation. Going for a total wipeout, sure. Aha, okay. Yes, a new Hydra batch has been created. I do notice this pixelation more whenever Hydra is in the mix. Whenever there is only Punctual, we don't get this as much of an issue with the code being hard to read. Right now, it's too difficult for me to read the text. There we go, yeah, nope. Yeah, as soon as the Hydra disappeared, I could read it again, and then as soon as it returned, I was no longer able to read the text. In the meantime, let's do an audio suite. We're going to evaluate what we hear from low to high. Right now, I won't be able to point to the corresponding lines of code because I can't read the code right now, but we can use our ears to figure it out. So in the lowest registers, I always like to go low to high. In the lowest register, I hear a kick drum. It is not a clock pattern. And that's something I'm remarking because I would say at least 50% of the time, or more, yeah, at least 50% of the time in these jam sessions, we tend to have a kick drum that is a 4 to the 4 clock. So it's refreshing to find a scenario where we get a different pattern. The kick drum is pretty clean, it's not distorted. I use the term short to describe this sound because it does not reach too high in the audio spectral domain. The most frequencies are contained to the low region without leading into the mid-highs or the high registers. Okay, next in our sound suite, we have... Oh good, I can see the code again. This is so much cleaner. You see we have a... There we go, 4 to the 4 kick drum. Right here. Thank you, Bornach, for supporting the cause. Selecting from the bank M1. What is above this in sound space? Well, it sounds like this FM synth, this FM thing, are... That's not the one. This chords pattern is higher than the sound I'm hearing. I believe it's over here. Lower. Yes. This is some sample, a ride symbol. RD is for ride. And then there's a sample called lower, which is a word I'm not familiar with. But it's producing something that was in a register above the kick drum but below the chords. Then we have the chords, or maybe this sawtooth wave. Probably the sawtooth wave because it has these explicit low-pass filters on them. That's going to keep it in the low register. So, lowest to highest we have this kick drum. Then we have lower and rings over here, which Cleary is currently working on. Then we have this saw wave, which is being aggressively filtered. These chord patterns then are in the high mids that aren't in the high register. That would be octave 6 or 7. This is maybe octave 5. Oh no, it says it right here. It's octave 3 and 4. But we do have some FM harmonics being added in, and that does bring the total sound into a higher octave as well. So even though the fundamental is in octave 3 and 4, by introducing more upper frequencies, we end up occupying 2 to 3 octaves of space. So I estimate with my ears that yes, these are also in octave 5. And finally, at the high end of our audio spectrum, we have the hi-hats. They sit above everything else, they have no low frequency components. And because there's no low frequency components, there's no competition for your ears on their pattern. Bornach is using a sometimes by function call right now to add a bit of variance, random change, pseudo-random change, controlled change. 40% of the time, we're going to do apply 3 call, which means we're going to multiply note events by 3. 1, 2, 3. There you go. Savamala is back here on Punctual. Now we are merging Punctual with Hydra right over here. Wow. Our low-mid instruments has turned into quite the rave machine. Something about this sound is very resonant and evocative of rave music to me. You can get rave sounds anywhere, even though you may not be currently raving. It's always appropriate to introduce rave sounds. About sound. This is not even about notes. It's not about timbre. It's only about rhythm, timing. It's about sequencing. Okay, so you can use the struct function to control. Oh, there's a tag over here that says temporal. Nice. Yes. I wonder what bank tag. Let's look at the bank tag. Yeah, so this one has a tag of samples and Superdo. Superdo is an old school thing. They're coming from Super Collider or Tidal Cycles. You'll recognize that samples can often be, the default samples come from there. But more generically, yes, the bank function is about samples. And the struct function is, oh nice, hang on, let's go check that out. Okay, we'll come back to the docs in a bit, but let's look at that beautiful synth that just came in. Where is it? Bright as day arpeggio over an octave and fifth pattern, right here. Bottom, middle, cell. The code is so blurry, so we'll have to return in a moment. Let's get back into the docs. At least we pointed out that location so we know where to focus our eyes when we get there next. So the struct function can be applied to any kind of note sequence. In this case, they're using it on a C minor chord. And like before in the chords pattern that we saw, this is a stack of notes, which would normally occupy just one event in the whole pattern. But this struct function is going to let us put a lot more events on it. Let's count the number of X's and rests. The tilde is the other way you can represent a rest. You can use a minus sign, or you can use a tilde. Let's count the X's. You can use an X or a T. To represent a true D value. ways to impose typical musical structures onto a pattern like this. Nice. So the dots are here, and you can always copy and paste from it. Like this. I won't evaluate it right now, but it's really easy to try out all this stuff. Okay, maybe just a bit. That was it. Looks like Cleary's working on it now. I can only tell by the outline of the name tag. The text is so blurry, which makes it difficult to parse. We can use our ears and hear that this arpeggiation just goes up an octave. I see Cleary is using the add function. Alright, it's a docs kind of day. Let's get up another window and look at the add function. Incoming window. Alright. Add is a math tag. I love math. Let's make it a little bigger. Super big. Add assumes a pattern of numbers. So that means the input is a pattern, something that starts with double quotes. And it assumes that the interior is all of the things that are numbers. Adds the given number to each item in the pattern. So in this case, look at how we're putting the dot add after the quotation mark. Almost everywhere else, you've seen the dot come after a parentheses like this. However, right now, for the add function, it's going to go onto the pattern itself. So remember that double quotations are not just a string in Strudel, it constructs a pattern object. And this pattern object has 3 events in it. Those are temporal events. But the actual contents of each event is a number, and we're going to mutate the contents using this function add. You can put a single number in here if you want, like 12 to go up an octave, or negative 12 to go down an octave. Or you can put a pattern as an argument to add. In this case, this angle brackets pattern. We recall from earlier that angle brackets will alternately select. So that means this function is going to change how it adds. This add is first going to add nothing. It first adds 0, which means it plays the pattern as provided. Then, it adds 3 to everything in here. Then, it adds 4. Note that it does not add 3 plus 4. It does these separately. And then it goes back to adding 0. And then it restarts this loop, or this sequence. That's the add function. It's a very good way for transposing notes. That's what I do with it most often, and I believe that's what Cleary did earlier whenever we heard it go up an octave. It looks like now there's more contents, but it's too hard to see, and my ears can't predict what it is. There's a lot of pattern magic happening. But the sound is wonderfully cute. This feels like, between the visuals and the sound, it would be a Super Nintendo game, or maybe Game Boy Advance. Nice. Let's just enjoy the music for a bit. It feels very calm and chill. returning to the music, there is a lot of counterpoint happening. We don't hear any more explicit chord voicings, at least not to my ears, but we do hear multiple standalone independent voices. Counterpoint is this. This is counterpoint. Whenever you evoke harmony implicitly through the passage of concurrent voices. The voices I hear are 2 or 3. There's this one that's the low. It has a high pass filter rise on it. Sorry, a low pass filter rise on it. And above it is the more chirpy, brighter, and faster moving lead, I would call it, the lead synth line. So we have a bass synth and we have a lead synthesizer. It sounds like 2, but I'm pretty sure it's one pattern that's skipping around octaves. A new sound just arrived. It's very distinct. What's distinct about it is how long it sustains and how bass it was. It was absolutely very bassy, and now it's pitched itself up into the high register. I may as well close my eyes as I do the sound analysis, because this screen is too blurry for comparing right now. Let's look back at that bass that just came back. So it sounds like the Livecoder was experimenting with some octave placement. They tried some high pitches and then brought it back down. Or maybe it was a deliberate effect. It was musical. It was a short amount of time that it was in the high register. It provided contrast. It declared the entry of the new part, and then it returned to a prior known state, which is always a satisfying thing to do, no matter what. That's just how music works. But it's not there anymore. It was a nice addition. I hope it comes back. We'll see. Right, counterpoint. Counterpoint is a technique that can be used to strengthen the importance of a monophonic line. So if you're not using any chordal instruments, and here are some real-world, very classic examples of counterpoints, would be a string quartet. If you consider the ensemble that is a violin and another violin, there's 2 violins, there's 1 viola, and there's 1 cello, so 3 different instruments. None of them are generally considered to be chordal instruments. Oh, the bass came back! Woo! So in the string quartet, each of them is let's just say that they're monophonic. Technically they're not monophonic, but let's just assign them monophonic behavior because that's, the P95 case of string performance. And counterpoint, therefore, is the default mode if every part is playing independently. You could use 3 of those instruments as the composer, as the livecoder. You could livecode, for example, a violin part 1, violin part 2, viola part, cello part. Now you've put yourself in the position of a composer, and if you are constraining yourself the same way, you will not use any commas to stack the notes. You only get 1 note stream per line. This is actually a good challenge for you. If you're looking for a livecode challenge, I encourage you to try this. Select 2 different violin samples, so you get a different sound on each of the 2 violins. Use the viola, use the cello, these are all included in Strudel, and see if you can create 4 distinct melodies while also outlining a chord progression. So finally, we've arrived at what counterpoint can do, which feels pretty amazing when you do it right, which is to define a chord progression without ever explicitly outlining it. So if you consider the piano as an instrument or guitar, These instruments are probably the first that come to mind if you talk about chords, or maybe synthesizer if you're a nerd like me. The background, let's just get back to the jam for a bit because they've been doing some really good work on the visuals. Sometimes I incorrectly use the word background. The visuals are just as much part of the performance as the music. They just coincidentally are behind text, so that's why I say background. Right now we have a really interesting dual radial situation. So wow. One of them is a radial expression with a lot of neon rainbow colors, and then the other is more like a drop in the pond filter over it. So it's another radial plot, but it's more of a mask. And because they are offset on the x-axis, but share a y-axis coordinate, we are finding some cool distortions at the points where the two circles therefore intersect and modulate one another. I believe this is still Hydra and Punctual combining into a single source, and now it looks like they are interacting with one another. Piping the input of one Livecode language or pipeline into the input of another. Okay, harmony. We still, on this jam, don't have any chords happening right now. We did earlier again, right? But I don't hear it right now. It looks like someone wants to use the chord D over here. I can vaguely see the outline D, and there's a voicing call. But there's also an in call, which I think is selecting the note in a chord, which is actually really good. I hope that's how it works. I'll check the docs on it momentarily. Let's get on to the final thoughts in harmony and counterpoint, because this now has a bass line which completes our counterpoint. In the string quartet example, the cello is the bass instrument there. The cello doesn't reach as far down as the bass we hear right now, but for 300 years ago, it's a pretty good portable bass. Now, counterpoint is going to enable you to construct chords a lot more freely compared to typical chord voicings on the guitar. The piano does also give you a bit more flexibility, but another way of thinking of it is on the piano you still have only two hands, but with the quartet you have four. In this metaphor, it's kind of loose, but oscillators is maybe another way to think about it. 4 independent oscillators compared to 2 independent oscillators. And that means your melodies can rise and fall over 2 or 3 octaves. And when they do that over 4 instruments, that means your total instantaneous chord, the instant chord at any moment in time in your score, is going to be very short or very, very spread out, tall. So counterpoint therefore lets you play with harmony in ways that chord voicings do not. It also lets you, counterpoint also lets you jump outside the lines momentarily, and this is very common in jazz music. A jazz band does often have one chord kind of instrument, like a piano or guitar, but the rest of the instruments will be monophonic, such as the acoustic bass, a trumpet, a singer, a saxophone of some kind. And because these monophonic instruments can only play one note at a time, they might try to suggest some other chords by playing a sequence of notes that is the new chord, but they happen monophonically. They happen one at a time. And if the bass player decides to do that too, while the saxophone player and trumpet player is doing that simultaneously, imagine they're all jamming in C major, but each of them is also expressing some neighbor chord at the same time as a monophonic series. Your string quartet example can be doing the same thing. The violins and viola could all be jamming in C major, but exploring adjacent keys, and it's monophonic, so they have to do it one note at a time as an arpeggio. And when you do this, the total sum is called counterpoint. That's the sum of all lines happening independently. And when it's done well, it's also concurrently creating a chord progression. So in these scenarios, the main difference is that in the string quartet, it's likely to be composed. Everyone is reading from sheet music that's already written. But the jazz band is a lot more like this Livecode session where we're all capable of seeing the same reference material, but we're all also independently creating in real time our path in melodic and harmonic space. Right? So a good jazz band has been rehearsing together for a long time and performing together, and they understand each other's own tropes, their own paths, and they also understand the conventions of the style, right? There's a lot of standards in place there. And I'm not trying to make any comparison, I'm just remarking that's how jazz works. Strudel is a different scenario because you actually can see the score. This is something you cannot do in jazz. With Strudel, you can actually see the improvisations and the artifacts thereof. They're visible there for you to read and extend or edit. So you can, even though you might not have jammed with someone before, you can still get insight into their process and where they're going if you read their code. Sound piano. Plucking. Nice, that's a really good bass sound. FL bass. There's a typo in plucking. Is this a super custom sample? That's a really good bass sound. Leave it to a bassist to produce a good bass sound. Thank you, Cleary. I love that this is working, even though it's a typo. That means the sample has that in it. Okay, one more round of docs. Let's look at the chord and voicing relationship and how they can relate to notes if we can find out if we can select from the note like an arpeggiator. I'm pulling the docs over. Chord to voice. So this says that you should give it the nice name, the common Western major or minor symbolic notation as an argument, and it will play a chord for you. I'm going to call out that it only works if you also put the voicing function here like it shows. If you don't include this, it doesn't play for you. I feel like the docs should say that. At least that's my experience. Maybe that's not true anymore today. And this is in the tonal category. That makes sense because chord only cares about the notes. It only cares about the tones that you select. It does not care about strictly the pattern. Yes, you can put patterns in here. What was that? Who did that? Let's look at the voicing function. Voicing. Voicing turns chord symbols into voicings. Right. You can use the following control parameters. Let's look at the example here. So, voicing itself does not take arguments, but when you put this... OMG, what is that? It is itching my brain. I have to see. Days. Reports. Oh, wow. Shabda is a synthesizer for speech. You can use this to live code speech synthesis in Strudel. We'll just dox that. That just doxed my other kind of doxed my tab homepage. Anyway.
So much fun.
Exactly. Let's just stay focused on voicing and get back to the jam. Last function for the day, voicing. We have to call
so
this
much fun.
in order to apply chords here and in if set. Finally, this is what I was curious about. If set, the voicing is played like a scale. Oh, that's great.
So much fun.
It is so much fun. Overshooting numbers will be octave. Nice. Anchor is a standalone function that does go in the same category. It's a tonal function again, and is the top note to align the voicing to. So if you want to be specific about your voice leading, this is how you will do it, by changing the topmost note that your chord voices to. So anchor is an optional function. Chord is a good function, but it only works with voicing as well, okay? Voicing is a great function, but it only works... Maybe it actually works without chord, and that's what these other things are describing, but I just recommend putting them together. And back to the jam. Wow, this visual suddenly got high resolution. Very evocative of roses. And sacred geometry. The color contrast is very clean. There's a very clear focal point and then animated accent around it. The current sound is very acoustic. It's pretty rare. Every sound right now could be performed by a musician. The acoustic bass could be transcribed into sheet music. The piano could be transcribed into sheet music, and the hi-hat pattern also could be. Therefore, you could print out the current score and give it to someone or a band to play or perform. My brain just had a laugh out loud, but also segfault moment at the idea of what I just said, except for the biz. Trying to the change in reproduction, the amount of if you wanted to reproduce the visuals by hand compared to reproducing the sound by hand, which is a coincidence of what's playing right now. You know, the current score could be way more complex, e.g. last week's jam. And there's nothing wrong with simplicity. It was just a funny joke to myself. Okay, I'll stop. In the bottom left cell, We have a shaker. This is a very good shaker sound. Also pretty acoustic. I've been getting a little bit of latency here. Overall, there has not been a lot of lag. I don't recall any total crashes. It did stop earlier. I don't remember seeing like a white screen death or anything though. So overall, pretty stable jam today. That is very nice to see. A lot of very musical moments. And opportunities to remember what functions do. I always appreciate that. Oh, we're bringing the tuba in. Yeah, bornach. Finally, we get the general MIDI category. So when it prefixes here with GM underscore, this is how you can get access to that whole collection of orchestral instruments like violin, viola, cello, tuba, trombone, trumpet. There's literally an entire symphony waiting for you to jam with it. Oh, crow means go. I get it, because there was only a one shot of the crow. And crow means go. It's like firing off a gun to start a race. Like crows are better than guns. Thank you all for the jam this week. It has been fantastic as always. Thank you, Livecoders. And if you would like to join in, we invite you to do so. See you next week. Happy coding.